Not everybody deserves to win a participation prize. We've lost sight over the last 20 years of what it takes to be a winner. I'm going to talk to you about some controversial things that I feel are important when we talk about what it means to have a winning mindset. As an entrepreneur, you know that there is no second place, no third place. There is no participation prize for becoming a successful business owner. At the end of the day, there's two things that are going to happen. Either A, you're going to make your business successful and things are going to work out, or B, things may not be successful, but you're not going to get a participation prize just for trying to be an entrepreneur. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some winning strategies that I focus on as an entrepreneur to ensure that I'm able to achieve the goals and become as successful as I want to be. Because again, I know there's not going to be a participation prize just for being an entrepreneur. Nick Saban is one of my favorite coaches that defines what it means to be a winner. There's two areas that he focuses on that are extremely important, in my opinion, when it comes to establishing a winning mindset. The first is around preparation. One of his quotes, which I love, is it's not that we're going to practice until we get it right. It's we are going to practice this play until we can't get it wrong. And although those sound similar, they're very different in their approach. So when you look at winning, you're not just trying to make sure that you do and achieve the goal, but you're trying to figure out a way that you do it over and over again so that there's no way that you can get it wrong. And what that is it shows the preparation that goes into executing a game plan. In addition to that, it's around pursuit of your highest potential. So a lot of times we'll set goals, and once we achieve those goals, we decide to move on. Each time you achieve a goal, it's an opportunity for you to level up. It's an opportunity for you to come in and say, I've already got to this point. Now I'm going to stretch myself to get to the next level. We all have potential, and we all can increase that potential each and every day. So you should never really get to a point where you've hit your potential. You always want to continue to challenge yourself to grow and develop your skill sets over a period of time. So as we look at winning principles and standards, preparation and the pursuit of your potential are two areas that I feel are extremely critical to determining and becoming that winner and having that winner's mentality. Accountability is the key to also having the proper winning strategy. Many of us set goals, and especially now that we're looking at the new year, we're looking at setting New Year's resolutions. I personally don't set New Year's resolutions. I have long-term goals that I've set that I break down into pieces in terms of what I need to do to achieve them. And that's where the accountability comes into play. Now, we can't do it alone. It's always helpful to have individuals that are like-minded and are on the same journey that you are on to hold you accountable. For example, mastermind group. Mastermind group that I'm in, we meet once a month. And the first thing we talk about is following up on the commitments that we made to the group the previous month. That gives us an opportunity to make sure that not only are we accountable to ourselves, but we're also accountable to the other individuals in the group to not only help them, but also help us as well. So accountability is key to continuing that winning mindset and making sure that you stay on track to hit your ultimate goals. Let's talk about grit. So grit is something you hear a lot, and you hear it a lot in different forms. But how I define grit is doing things when you don't feel like doing them. There's plenty of times that we go out through the day, we get tired, we get beaten down, and we just don't want to continue to execute on the things that we know are going to help us win. I'll give you a personal example for myself. The other day, I had a very busy day. In fact, 2 days ago, I had surgery. And while I was supposed to take it easy, I knew there were tasks that I needed to get done. I didn't feel like it. I was extremely tired, but I knew that it was important for me to continue to move myself forward. There were certain things that I needed to do by the end of the day. Did I want to do them? No. I could have easily just relaxed, watched Netflix, and recovered. Now, I'm not telling you that you need to go to that extreme. But my point here is that there are going to be times that you aren't going to feel like doing something. But it's important for you to always look at, even if it's just one or two things that you can do to move yourself forward, you want to be able to, in your mind, understand and know that grit is something that's going to be very important as you continue to push yourself forward. Talk about humility versus jealousy. Now, this was an area that I really struggled with since I was starting my career as a teller, as a banker. Right? We talked about a winning mindset, always wanting to be number one and competing. But there's an element to this that's very important as you look to continue to grow your skill set, grow as an individual, and become better and better. Now, jealousy is when you are looking at other people that are performing at a higher level than you and looking at it from a perspective of scarcity rather than abundance. So instead of looking at it as a zero sum game, meaning for every sale or client that that person gets, it's one less sale or client you can get, you want to look at things in terms of abundance. Just because they got that customer, there's plenty of other customers out there that you can go after and you can bring to your business. You don't want to have that jealousy and scarcity mindset. You want to have that humility, that humbleness to say, hey, if this guy can do it, I can do it as well. Maybe I pick up the phone and reach out to him and find out what he's doing. Maybe there's a certain tactic or skill that he's using to bring in business that I'm not using. It took me 40 years to figure this out. And it wasn't until I started my business that I picked up the phone and I called as many people as I possibly could. The different businesses that I ran, I talked to at least 10, 15, 20 people to try to figure out what they did to become successful. Now, I could have easily just gone at it my own and said, I'm going to do my own thing and I'm just going to compete with them and I can do it better. But why try to do it on your own when you can take those best practices from people that have already been there? Ed Milet says a very good quote that I love. And I won't get the quote exactly right, but in essence is, if you want to find the best way up, ask the people coming back. Why try to navigate on your own when there's individuals that have already traveled that path and you can talk to them and figure out what they did to make it successful? So there's that difference between humility and jealousy that are very important as you're continuing to develop that winning mindset. Perseverance. So perseverance, I define as being able to overcome obstacles and challenges that come your way. Now, these can happen in many different forms, but I'm going to give you an example of a situation that I faced earlier this year that caused me to really dig deep and to overcome the challenges that I faced. So I started an auto detail company about a year and a half ago. And we had a really good year last year, and we had come to a point where we were able to expand. So I bought a van, completely equipped it out to be able to go out and do our mobile detailing and expand our range of services. Everything was going great. We were doing extremely well. And then 4 months later, that van got stolen. I lost all my equipment, obviously the vehicle, everything gone. 4 months later, somebody broke into my shop, stole all of my equipment once again. Now, I could have easily closed up shop and said, hey, this is an omen. It's not working. I need to shut down and move on. But I knew that in order for me to achieve my goals, I needed to continue to pursue and continue to move on. So what did I do? I turned around, I got new equipment, I got back into the mode of continuing to work hard, even though we took a step back after taking a pretty good step forward from last year. It just meant that we were going to have to try that much harder to get back to where we were at. So when I look at perseverance, I look at the many obstacles that you're going to be thrown your way, and it's about that mindset of how you're going to overcome them. Again, a winning mindset is not something that is going to come easy. You are going to find those challenges that are going to get in your way, and it's up to you to determine how you're going to handle it. Aggressive patience. Now, those don't sound like two words that would typically go together, right? Because if you want to be aggressive, chances are you're not going to be as patient. But I'm going to talk a little bit about how those two work together. Now, for those of you that are entrepreneurs, you know that it takes time. You can't start a business and within 1 to 2 years, you're going to see the results. All these people on social media that are showing that they're making millions of dollars overnight, the reality is that they're not. They're either putting on a front, or if they are earning those types of dollars, it's not sustainable. It's not something that's going to last. You have to go in with the mindset that it's going to take time. On average, for business to hit that sweet spot, you're looking at about 7 to 10 years before that happens. And so it's very easy to get caught up in seeing everybody else having what you consider overnight success and start to get discouraged when you're not seeing that type of progress. I personally keep a vision board, and not a vision board in terms of what you think about with pictures and all these things that I want to get in the future. But my picture board is actually a picture of a pyramid that is built with several different bricks, because I know that every day that I win the day, I check one of those bricks off. Now, if you add all those bricks up, it's 7 years. And so I know visually it's going to take that time. However, you don't want to just be patient from a standpoint where you're just taking it easy. There are tasks that you want to execute on a daily basis to continue to move yourself forward. So when I say aggressive patience, it's understanding from a mindset that it will take time, but not feeling like you are just slowly moving along, but that each and every day you're executing on the tasks that are moving that much closer to achieving your goal. Investment versus sacrifice. This was another concept that took me a while to kind of wrap my head around. Because naturally, when we are striving to achieve a goal, the natural response is that these are the sacrifices I'm going to have to make in order to achieve my goal. Switch that around, and instead of saying the word sacrifice, say the word investment. So for me personally, when I started my business 2 years ago, and I went in with understanding the investments that I was going to make, not the sacrifices, I knew exactly what it was going to take for me to invest in myself and in my business to achieve my goals. So in my particular situation, I knew that my time and my focus and my energy was going to have to shift. Instead of going out and spending time on the weekends with friends and doing all these fun things, taking vacations, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to do that anymore. I knew that I was going to have to elevate myself and spend more of my time trying to achieve my goals, because that wasn't something that was going to work for me long term. Now, I could have easily used that and said, hey, these are the sacrifices I'm going to have to make to get there. But I would challenge you to change that word sacrifice to investment. That makes it a little more positive in terms when you think about where you're spending your time and what you're focusing on. Because in the end of the day, when you do get to that end point and you do achieve the life that you want, you'll look back and say, all the investments that I made in myself in terms of skill set, time, and energy are what led me to be where I'm at today. So you're not making sacrifices, you're making investments in yourself so that eventually down the road, you will be able to achieve the lifestyle and the goals that you want to. It takes to have a winning mindset. We talked about a lot of different areas of focus. We talked about preparation. We talked about always pursuing your potential, accountability, having those individuals around you that are going to hold you accountable to achieving the tasks that you need to move yourself forward every day. We talked about perseverance. We talked about humility. We talked about aggressive patience. Talked about grit. So all of these areas are extremely important in terms of you being able to achieve your goals as a winner. As I mentioned before, as an entrepreneur, there is no participation prize. At the end of the day, you're either going to make it or you're not. Less than 50% of businesses actually make it past year 5, and there's less than 35% that actually make it past year 10. To even give you a more intimidating statistic out there is that there's less than 10%, and some even argue less than 5%, of business that actually achieve over $1 million in revenue. So for those of you that are looking to build something great, to build a large business that's going to take care of you and your family, there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and the odds are stacked against you. So if you're not creating these types of habits on a regular basis, you're not going to be in that 10%. Chances are you may not even be in the 50%. So as you look to how you figure out how to develop those habits, one recommendation I would make to you, it's something that's helped me considerably, is to make sure that you have some type of critical 5 or critical task that you need to complete every single day to help you move one step forward. Now, these are things that are not a to-do list. They're specific tasks that you need to do on a regular basis to help you accomplish your goals. I'll kind of share with you a little bit about my consistent tasks that I need to do every single day that I put to become consistent in terms of my habits. Number 1 is reach out. My goal is to reach out to at least 20 people per day, whether that's email, in-person, phone, but make it a point to reach out to at least 20 people per day. What that does is it allows me to get in front of more potential prospects, to get in front of more potential clients. Secondly, it's talk to a stranger every day. Now, as silly as that sounds, one of the areas, especially in my business, that's really important is to be able to network and to be able to build relationships with people. Talking to strangers gives me a comfort level to be able to do that, because as naturally an introvert, and which is what I am, it's very difficult for me to carry on a conversation with a complete stranger. Again, perishable skill that I need to practice on a regular basis. Third area each day is I try to do something around social media, building a brand, getting an opportunity to create some type of following in terms of individuals that like the content that I have and get a better understanding of the different value that I can provide. Fourth is to actually listen to a podcast or do some type of reading about an entrepreneur so that I can learn from them and implement some of the tactics they have in my business on a regular basis. The fifth one I usually leave pretty flexible, and it's really dependent upon the day and depending upon the priority that I have. And so for the most part, the top four are pretty consistent every single day. The fifth one I leave flexible. But the important part of this is that it is a habit that I've gotten into over the last year and a half. I complete a journal where I check these off. At the end of the day, I've been able to knock out all my tasks. I win the day. I knock off a brick that I told you off of my visual so that I can see that I'm moving forward to achieving my goal. But ultimately, you want to have some type of way to track your progress so that you understand that you are getting that much closer to achieving your 5, 7, 10-year goal, which is the amount of time that it's going to take for you to achieve and become a winner in terms of what you're trying to do.